are standing here with some goats that are doing weed eating on the side of a state highway as a pilot program to give our Department of Transportation, our Public Works, and our Parks Department one more option of how to deal with roadside weeds without pesticides.
The main vision is to set an example and be a role model for others to follow. It's already proven elsewhere, and I just want to see it happen here in Maui Nui.
This is about a 2-year work in progress. We started getting phone calls to Councilmember Cochran's office a couple of years ago, and they've been increasing about people who are concerned about pesticide use in public spaces, parks, roadsides, county lands, things like that. One day I saw an article in the paper about Reno, Nevada doing a pesticide-free parks pilot program with the help of an organization called Beyond Pesticides. So I called them up, and they were exactly what we needed to kind of bridge this gap between concerns we had, but a lack of skill and a lack of budget, and a solution. So our Parks Department agreed to do a pilot program on 4 Maui parks. If they could be trained how to manage these parks without pesticides, they would do it for a year to see if it works. So we did a training for the parks, resorts, and golf courses, and they brought Lani, who is a professional goat herder, to Maui to show us how you can use goats near a major highway to manage weeds.
I'm Lani Malmberg, and I'm a professional Gypsy goat herder. I run about 2,000 goats, and I work on contract 365 days a year. And with a big herd of goats, I go in and I want to know what the goal is for the land. What plants do you want here? The weeds are usually just symptoms, and I'm not interested in the symptoms as much as I am what is your goal and what do you want here? And then we go about building a living system where all the right plants are in the right spots for you. I got degrees in environmental restoration, botany and biology, and a master's degree in weed science. While I was in grad school, I was the only student in the weed program that was not funded by a chemical company. And I read how well goats eat weeds, because they're completely opposite to cattle and horses in their diet preference. So in 1996, when I got out of grad school, I started this business with 100 head of goats, and it was to offer the people an alternative to chemicals and machinery, and goats naturally like to eat all the weeds that nobody else wants. So I just thought, well, that's a perfect fit. A goat has a whole different set of enzymes and bacteria in their saliva and in their gut, which allows them to eat all kinds of things that sheep and cattle can't eat and a horse won't touch. For instance, castor bean, deadly poisonous plant, and it doesn't bother goats a bit. I'm on the board of directors for Beyond Pesticides, and we, Beyond Pesticides, partnered with the County of Maui to help show what we have learned in converting people from using herbicides and machinery to an organic method, which you take care of the soil and feed the soil and build the system. It's a living system. Ideally, then locals can go on with the information and the knowledge to manage Maui County without herbicides or machinery. And goats are self-propelled. The weeds that they eat are the fuel that powers the goats, whereas a weed eater and machinery and equipment is all fossil fuel powered.
We rented these goats to Lani to try and do this project, which is a good alternative to, common practices. And we've done it here when people buy house lots. We put our goats out on just to kind of open it up. It's the first time they've been this close to the road, so they're a little skittish right now, but it seems like they're settling in and getting more to the top of the hill now.
I came here for Department of Transportation to do the highway right-of-way. It's very narrow here, and the guardrail really poses a problem to management for everybody. How the DOT clears the vegetation is they have a crew of men with weed eaters that come, but there's a couple of problems with that. One is the plastic cord hits this iron and cuts the plastic, so therefore they can't get very close to it, which leaves all this standing vegetation. Additionally, when they cut vegetation, you get all the dead grass laying here, and the trash gets caught up into it. And in a lot of places, this is a foot deep. This is an extreme fire hazard. Grass dried out is fire tinder. One cigarette butt out the window of a passing car would light this whole valley on fire. Artifacts like this chunk of rebar, would be devastating to any kind of a machine or any kind of a blade, weed eater, anything, and goats would go right around this, eat all the way around it. I had proposed to DOT to put my electric fence on this side of the guardrail, and then I wouldn't make it hot. The fence wouldn't be hot because it's touching the metal and it would short out. And that way the goats could clean out around the post and everything up to this line. DOT instructed me I had to put it on this side of the guardrail. So that's what we did, but you can see that I don't have access to be able to clean out under the guardrail. With the goats cleaning the vegetation out and recycling it all through their gut and taking the poop back over the berm onto the farmland to make those soils nutritious and fertilized and building soil organic matter, and this would be clean with little tiny fresh growth. What I told the landowner was, in 3 years of me coming through here, this would look just like the golf course. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference between this old plantation and the golf course, and it would be all fresh, new little growth. No fire hazard, no dead grass laying around. So there's so many problems with this, and I don't know the budget for weed eating along the road, but it's causing more problems. But we could put that budget to manage goat herding along the highway to clean these guardrails.
Bella, come.
And
Bella, come.
now.
Stop. Stop.
I'd like to point out here where my fence line was, my electric fence line, so everything on the left has not been touched by goats and everything on the right has been grazed. And what you can see is how much vegetation they have eaten and what they prefer. There's castor bean in here and halicoa as it's spreading. It's a big problem I see on this island. The halicoa gets established and then it spreads and encroaches out into the field. Well, that's like candy to a goat. It's all gone. All of the vegetation has been eaten and recycled to pure organic fertilizer, scattered back, and put down and trampled in with the hooves. And I'd really like you to notice how hard the goats have worked on this sugar cane. That wasn't a goal on this job to eat the sugar cane, but I had it in this set so they could run and hide in here if they wanted to get away from the traffic. And I really like how hard they worked on the sugar cane.
I think it's a different alternative. I think you can make some money doing it. It's a lot safer than pesticides, because more and more people don't want pesticides being used. And if I can make a little extra money doing it, I'm fine with that.
You know, we definitely consider doing this. She taught us a lot in the 1 week she was here. So let's see, hopefully this thing goes forward.
Watching people's perceptions or expectations about what is possible without pesticides change over the last 2 years, and specifically over the last 2 weeks, has been really, really inspiring.
It's already proven elsewhere, and I just want to see it happen here in Maui Nui.
This is a perfect balance of art and science. Art is handling the animals anywhere, anytime, getting them to do what you need to do to get the job done. The science is knowing the plants, knowing plant families, and what could grow there and why certain things are a problem. And then I work with a spiritual layer on top of the whole thing, which you've got to be in tune with the energy of the land, the spirit of the water, and the culture of the people where you're working.